Chào mừng bạn đến với kênh tin tức Trà đá vì hè Galaxy. Hey everyone, it's never fun to talk about a loss, especially a big one like this that hits the whole country. But we've got to break it down, right? Understanding why we lost is the only way to move forward. So today, we're diving deep into that tough semifinal defeat for our U23 team.
All right, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. This setting was the U23 Asian Cup semifinal, a massive game. Our Golden Star Warriors were up against China, and well, the result was a real heartbreaker for fans everywhere.
0-3. Oof. That number it stares right back at you, doesn't it?
It really does. And a scoreline like that feels heavy. It speaks to a really tough night on the field, for sure. But behind that number, there are always those key moments, those turning points that really tell the whole story.
So, just to lay out the official details for everyone, the game was at the Prince Abdullah Al Faisal Stadium, U23 Asian Cup semifinal, and the final score, a pretty decisive 3-0 win for China. But, the story didn't just end when the final whistle blew. Actually, what happened in the press conference afterwards was, in my opinion, just as important. Coach Kim Song-sik stepped up to the microphone, and he did not hold back. The failure to respond today is my fault as the head coach. Wow, that is about as direct as it gets.
That's huge, right? I mean, we live in a world where it's so easy to make excuses or point fingers. To see a head coach just stand there and take complete 100% ownership of a loss, that shows incredible character. It really sets the stage for how you recover from something like this.
Exactly, and taking the blame is one thing, but Coach Kim didn't stop there. He didn't just say, "My bad." He gave a really clear, almost surgical breakdown of exactly where and why the game got away from them.
Yeah, you can really pinpoint where things unraveled. It started around the 30-minute mark with that injury to Nongjat Min, a huge blow that forced a change they weren't planning for. But the real killer blow came right after halftime. They concede from a set piece in the 47th minute, and then, bam, just 5 minutes later, another goal from a lapse in concentration. That quick 1-2 punch is what really knocked the wind out of their sails.
And what's so fascinating here is just how honest the coach was about the team's fundamentals. He pointed to ineffective pressing, which basically means China had all day to make decisions. Problems with passing, we just couldn't build any rhythm. And that lack of concentration on set pieces, that's the mental side that really cost them. You can see how the injury was the spark, but these other issues were the dry tinder waiting for a match. Right, but Coach Kim's breakdown wasn't just about what went wrong. He was very careful to balance that tough self-criticism with some perspective, giving credit where it was due, and maybe most importantly, shouting out his own team's spirit. And this right here, this slide really gets to the heart of Vietnamese football, doesn't it? The coach was so realistic, he basically said, look, player for player, we might not have the biggest superstars, and we often have a tough time against physically bigger teams.
Exactly. But then he immediately pivots to the team's biggest asset, that incredible unity. The idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. He praised them for fighting until the very end, because that collective spirit, that we over me mentality, has always been their secret weapon.
And then, you've got to respect this, he gave full props to China. No sour grapes. He just said China played well and deserved to be in the final. And even pointed out their high level of concentration in defense, the very thing his own team was struggling with. That's pure class. So where does that leave us? Well, here's the key thing to remember. It's not over. The dream of winning the whole thing is gone, yes, but the tournament isn't finished. There's still one more massive game to play, a real chance to end this whole thing on a positive note. Yep, the coach's message was basically a rallying cry. He said it himself. Losing in the semifinal is not the end. It's a call to action, really. A challenge to the players and the fans to keep that famous fighting spirit alive for one more big push. Okay, so get your calendars out, everyone. Here's what's left. Vietnam is going to face a very tough South Korean team for that third-place spot on January 23rd, and then the next day, it's Japan versus China for the championship. And that's really the big question, isn't it? After a really painful loss and some very honest reflection, can our U23 team tap into that legendary unity one last time and bring home a third-place finish? This match is about more than just a medal. It's a real test of their character.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi. Nếu thấy hay thì hãy đăng ký kênh, bấm like, share và comment nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn.
Trà đá vỉa hè Galaxy.